But I was like, the first time I saw him speak, I was like, you should be on video. Like we should record this, what you're saying on video. And here we are actually doing it. So I'm super happy to have you here with me tonight, Kyle.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I was definitely surprised when you asked me, but I have this kind of like rule when the universe drops some opportunities in my lap and anybody asks me to speak anywhere, I pretty much won't say no.
That's really good. And you are a coach and a inspirational speaker.
Yep.
Yeah. And you are an inspirational speaker. So the first time I heard you speak, I was completely riveted with what you were saying. And you have this amazing story about you have many amazing stories, but the amazing story that I wanted to talk about today was the story of your recovery process, and how you went from that sort of, difficult bottom of the barrel kind of moment into this, like, literally like a quantum leap. And where you are now is just, it's an incredible story. And I'll let you'll tell it, because it's your story. So tell us a little bit about this quantum recovery process.
Yeah. So I guess basically the biggest thing for me is that it started way before alcohol and drugs. I was a kid who was extremely fearful. And so at a young age, I was thinking fearful thoughts. And I started to set in place like this strong think feel loop. And I studied Joe Dispenza. I didn't know this at the time. I had no idea what was going on, but I was thinking a lot of fearful thoughts. Nothing crazy, but I was just at a young age, I was starting to get fearful of different things. I always use this example because this is the one I remember, but I was going to private school where they believed a certain way. They believed a certain God. They believed this and that. And then my family switched to public school where they basically believed something completely different. And at that point, I had this new group of friends that were telling me everything my old group of friends believed in wasn't real. My new group of friends were telling me that what my parents were believed in wasn't real. So I was just complete chaos at a young age. So I'm thinking fearful thoughts. And what I've learned is that when you're thinking fearful thoughts, you're releasing the chemical of fear into your body. That's a response. And when you're feeling fearful, because you're feeling that way, you think more thoughts like you're feeling. So I was thinking more fearful thoughts, which was causing me to release more of the chemical of fear into my body.
Mm.
And so I got addicted to the fear response. But then on top of that, because I'm pretty much fearful of everything in my life, I'm trying to control everything. So now I'm thinking controlling thoughts, releasing that response into my body. And when things aren't going exactly as I want them to, because I'm running around just like a maniac trying to control everybody, I'm getting angry. And then I'm thinking those thoughts, releasing that response into my body. And then when you're living that way, it feels horrible. Mm-hmm. So at the age of 16, after compiling so much fear, anger, control, guilt, shame, all the horrible feelings that literally came out of nowhere, like nothing crazy happened to me. That's what's nuts. People think of an alcoholic or an addict. Some people do. I think there's a lot of awakening that's going up around it now, but a lot of people are like, oh, it's a bum under a street. I just happen to have all this fear, all this anger. And then when I was introduced to alcohol, it drowned all that out. And it was incredible because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel that noise. Not the first time in my life. I remember when I was like 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, like running free, being a wild kid, just without that noise. But alcohol made me return to spirit in a way. But the thing is, it's an illusion.
Right.
So then I've learned that some people have the ability to be able to cope with alcohol. Like some of my friends, for example, can pick up alcohol and put it in their body and have a sip and put it down. That is not me. I have this thing called the phenomenon of craving. So when I put alcohol into my body, I have an allergic reaction that triggers a mental obsession, and I just want more. And so if you think about how this looks, it's like I'm hanging out with my friends, and we're 16 and everyone's just really getting involved with drinking, and they're just all taking some sips and like, this is cool, and I'm literally sleeping in the bushes, because I just got that phenomenon of craving and I don't know what's going on. So between the age of 16 and 32, this phenomenon of craving was taking place, and I was off and running, and everyone in my life was telling me I had a problem, and I didn't know I had the phenomenon of craving. Not to mention, underneath that, I'm drowning out insane amount of fear that's just compiling and compiling and compiling. And so people are starting to push me out of their lives. Basically, you have a problem. I'm like, I look at them dead in the eyes because I don't understand what's going on with me, and tell them that you have a problem. People significant in my life were looking at me and saying, you have a problem. And I was convinced that they had a problem. I fought family members. I fought friends again and again and again. And I really thought they had a problem, but they were all right. And when you have that phenomenon of craving, you don't know what's going on. So I went to any lengths to try to feel normal. And what that looked like was I would get new friends. I would cycle through friend groups. One friend group would be like, all right, you are just drinking too hard. And they would slowly start to not hang out with me. So I'd find new friends. I started hanging out with the kids who drank the most. I surrounded myself with other alcoholics. Like, I didn't know it at the time, but I was trying to find the people who, when I was 16, I thought were bad kids. I all of a sudden was hanging out with those kids. And then they didn't want to hang out with me. And then I'm going to college and I'm isolating, but I'm getting arrested. So my parents are like, you can't, be doing this anymore. And they're catching on to me. My grades are dropping. So now I start doing other drugs that allow me to focus better in school, but everyone's catching on to me. So I leave and go to Hawaii because no one knows what's going on in Hawaii. And everyone thinks I'm out there to study the earth, but really I'm out there just to use in isolation. I come back. I wasn't ready to go to school. I wasn't ready to work. So I went and got my master's degree, literally, so I could keep using alcohol and drugs because I didn't know how to stop.
Oh.
And then I got spun out, and I didn't have an option of joining the workforce because I graduated with a master's degree. Thanks to drugs and alcohol, believe it or not, I used drugs to get me a master's degree, and I'm just completely honest about that. I end up working, and I'm still not able to stop. I won't go into too much detail about that because I can't really speak about it. But I was, for the next 4 years, still using and working. I'm not saying exactly how it all went down, but I ended up having girlfriend after girlfriend leave me. Basically, I was alone at the end of it, not wanting to live, not wanting to die. And I got lucky that the workplace, I'm so grateful too, like the workplace that I was in sectioned me. And they basically said, you have to stop or you're going to lose your job. And then I went to rehab and I started learning about all these incredible things. Like, oh, underneath your disease, at the root of your disease is fear. Started learning all these incredible things. I started learning that I had an allergic reaction to alcohol. When I learned that, when I read that, my mind was blown because I was like, oh my God, I do have that. And I felt so free. And now it's like, what am I going to do to recover? And I realized I had to go to any length to not use ever again, and to address the fear, anger, control, all that stuff. And so over the last 4 or 5 years, I've just been insanely studying and learning and observing, and just I've I've used that addictive thing that I have to just become obsessed with learning how to get all those stones out of my bowl,
Hmm.
that stuff underneath my dis-ease.
And it really brought you into a very deep spiritual process.
Yep. So
Like a quantum, almost like a quantum. You got kind of interested in Joe Dispenza and his stuff, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So before any of that, before Joe Dispenza, one thing in the program that I'm in, they put you in touch with a power greater than yourself, because you have all this selfishness. You have to get outside yourself, so they connect you with a power greater than yourself. And one of the coolest things about this program is that it can be any power greater than yourself. So my whole life, when I was like using alcohol and drugs, I always had this crazy like connection with nature, and I always had connection with spirit. Like I was always deeply connected to trees and forests and stuff like that, but I didn't know that that could be my higher power. I thought it had to be one that people described.
Right.
I thought I had to fall in line. And when they told me that I could create my own, then my whole life started to change, because
Hmm.
I connected to the energy that I loved my whole life, and I just didn't know I could actually honor it and worship it and use it to heal.
Hmm.
So once I really started plugging into that energy, that's it. I mean, that's what it's all about. If you plug into that energy deeply for every day of your life, you'll always be okay. And so then from that point, it just became, how can I grow my relationship with this thing? And man, it's been the most incredible journey ever since. Just thinking about my higher power, like it's cool. you know. And then so this feeling that I'm feeling now was sprouting, and I'm walking around the program that I'm in, and saying like, I was looking at the stars last night, listening to Trevor Hall, my favorite musician, and I was just like telling these stories to people about like what I was experiencing. And one of the kids, my friend Mike, he's like a really good friend of mine. He told me that I need to meet Kristen. So I think Kristen Frazier, and so I went over her house with Mike, and she started playing the crystal bowls, and like I just was feeling another level of connection to my higher power. Like I had opened the door, but this just like allowed it all to like flood through me for the first time. And so
Hmm.
when it started to flood through me, I was feeling bliss. Like I was feeling insanely good, and I was just crying, but in the best way. And so it was almost like this spiritual bath that I needed. And so I had that spiritual bath, and then her and I went inside, and we started talking about like the future, and we did this like manifestation thing where we wanted to manifest like a place where all our friends could go and heal together. And we agreed that we were gonna read Joe Dispenza's book. And when I like, again, that addictive thing, like I didn't just read it once. It was so profound that I probably read it like 6 or 7 times, maybe even more, actually, to be honest with you. And
Wow.
basically, he taught me how to become whoever I want to be, and I became that person. And then I read the book again, and then I became that person again, and then I became that person again. And when I would go speak at like different places, like my friends would say like, man, like the person you were a year ago isn't the person you are today. And I'm like, I hope the person I am in a year from now isn't the person I am today, you know? And like Joe Dispenza, if you guys are looking for a book to really take you to that place of just transformation, it's all in there. It's
Which one did you like?
Becoming Supernatural.
Hmm.
So he basically talks. That's where I learned about the think feel loop.
Right.
Because he taught about that think feel loop, I started to really realize that I need to start observing my thoughts. Not only do I need to start observing them, I need to start new thoughts that are elevated in emotional vibration. So he talks about how each thought that creates an emotion vibrates at a different frequency.
Right.
So lust is the lowest vibrating emotion, and wholeness is the highest vibrating emotion. So I'm like, realize, and basically, the higher the emotion vibrates, the more energy like it is. And the lower it vibrates, the more matter like it is. So when I'm living in survival, I'm mask like. Energy can't move freely throughout my body, it gets stuck. But when I'm living whole, my energy's through the roof. So it's like, all right, how do I now practice wholeness every day of my life? I get out of my own way.
And you do a lot of things. You meditate, you eat super clean, you exercise, you really pretty devoted to living a very clean and full life, like a clean life.
Yeah.
All the way clean, not just from drugs and alcohol, but clean eating, clean living is kind of what I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just keeps getting better and better. So like today, I'll just go through my routine because it's pretty cool. But I wake up, I say this the third step prayer, which is basically like this ceremonious process to turn my will over. So it's basically getting out of my own way to start the day. God, take my will. I don't want it. You can have it. Like, I love you. Please take away my difficulties. Let your power flow through me, and I'll be of service to you. So I start my day off that way. And right now I'm in meditation yoga school with this great yogi, Todd Norian, who's teaching heart-centered yoga.
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's great.
Came into my life, it was crazy because I love heart-centered anything, and so when I learned that there was a heart-centered yoga, I was all about it. And then I go for a run, and when I go for a run, I listen to Dolores Cannon because I'm in her school for quantum hypnosis. So it's an online course, and the hour that I run, I'm in school, which is pretty cool, and that's all about subconscious programming, which is huge, and we can talk about that a little more. And then when I get home, I do my fitness workout, and then I start checking in with my buddies who are in recovery. I try to like reach out to as many of them as possible, and then I am in heart school too. So I'm in heart mastery school, and that basically is this whole school that teaches you how to use your heart to experience elevated emotions. And
is that the heart math people?
yeah, so heart mastery is an extension of heart math. So it's basically like heart math's master's program offered by this lady named Shiva Kar, who is one of the most incredible human beings on the planet, period. I recommend everybody find her and follow her, but she has been using her heart to help others for pretty much ever. And I just like love her. And so she's taught me, and heart math has taught me how to use my heart to experience elevated emotions all the time. And anyone can do that. It's so simple. And I would say the heart's been my best practice, like my best discipline for accessing those elevated emotions. So like anybody in recovery who is stuck in the fear, your heart is the doorway to a whole new life. I really believe that. And then when I get home and chill out, I try to work on the quantum transcendence group that we have going on. That is phenomenal. Like some of the most incredible people in the world are coming into our lives right now. Like my friends are all a part of this tribe. Beyond grateful for that. But yeah, no, that's just like a day, and
That's a lot in one day.
yeah.
I'm wondering, like, if you have anything you could say to people right now. We're in lockdown in Massachusetts right now. It's, there's puts a lot of stress on people, and how do we handle that? And I don't know if we kind of gets us wanting to drink or eat. Like, I'm not much of a drinker, but I've been eating sugar. Like, I think we could just get all stressed out and want to lean into those addictions that we have. Like, what can help us right now?
Yeah, I would say it can go either way, like personally, and I don't mean this like there's so many bad things going on because of this, but personally for me, I've grown during this period, and I think a lot of people can grow, and I feel like I'm happier today than I was before it started.
Right.
And one thing that I've taken really seriously, I can't really tell yet if this is selfish or not, but I guard my subconscious mind like intensely. Like I almost consider it subconscious warfare. Like I know that if I watch the news and they're just talking about all these things that are so fear driven, like this many people died today. And if I'm watching that repetitively, I'm thinking negative thoughts. I'm thinking fearful thoughts that are going to cause me to release the chemical of fear into my body. If I'm doing that all day, I'm going to be the end product of that process. So
right.
I deplug. I honestly do. And I have a hard time with this because I get caught in this place. Like, am I selfish for not watching and not knowing? But I don't plug in at all. And I just practice elevated emotions while it's all going on. And in the now that I'm living, in this present moment, I'm happy. And I'm here for the people that need me. And if there's like I'm sending prayers out and all that stuff. And there's all these different conspiracy theories that people are sending me. And what I do is I just ask people, like, is this something that I need to watch? Is it proven? Do you trust this source? Like I ask people probably like 5-10 times that the video they're sending me is worth watching. So basically, like, yeah, if you want to be happy right now, you have to surround yourself with positive things. And if your external environment is not a happy one, you have to create that. And you have to go to any lengths to create that. And that usually happens inward through the heart.
Right. And also through good community too.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think we can do it alone, right?
No, definitely not.
And that, like, when recovery often happens in a group, and a lot of the good stuff, like what we can hold on to right now that brings us the good stuff, is the group. So can you tell us a little bit about your quantum transcendence group?
Yeah. So Kristen Johnson and I have been friends for like the last few years. And when we first met, we kind of set the intention of creating a group like this. And the reason being had nothing personally for me to do with any of the other groups. Like I love all the other groups. Like I love them the most. That's where my heart is and stuff like that. And I'm an active member in like all those groups, forever indebted. More the reason on my end that this came about was because I'm going through these programs and people are observing transformation in me. Like my mom, my sisters, all these different people that aren't alcoholics or addicts, but they still might suffer from that same selfish root, and they deserve a fellowship. And I know personally that the benefits of fellowship from my own experience are incredible. So when her and I met, she was approaching it from a whole nother angle. And I think it's worth, talking to her about that angle because it's so unique. And she's just an incredible human in general, but I was approaching it from that angle.
Right.
And so it was like, now how do we make this come together, and how do we create a fellowship for everybody? And so we were talking probably like on and off for 4 years, and different ideas were coming up, and we kicked like one thing that we wanted to make sure was important was that we're not going to focus on who we've been if it's negative. We want to focus on who we're becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ground rules was that there's going to be a speaker each week that just shares something that they believe promotes growth in the group.
Right.
So we're not going to talk about anything negative about, who we don't want to be anymore, because even just focusing on that can have some weird psychological effects. But we're gonna focus on who we want to become. And then, so that was step one. And then we realized that if we started each meeting off through the heart, if we can get everybody elevating their emotion together in a community, that whole meeting takes place at an elevated platform. So
Right.
if everyone just walks into a room, 100 people, one person could be wearing fear, one person could be wearing anger, one person could be wearing depression, one person could be wearing love, but you have this mixed energy. And when you start the meeting, that's going to play out. That is the vibration, the collective vibration, But we realize that if we breathe through our heart rhythmically, there's some crazy science behind this, but if you get people in a room to breathe through their heart rhythmically, they synchronize and their energy harmonizes, and they vibrate at a very similar frequency. And
Cool.
and it's an elevated emotion. So if we breathe through our heart, everybody, so we guide everybody at the start of each meeting, and we get them to think elevated emotions. So tell us something that you're grateful for, something like this. Now they're thinking, feeling gratitude, they're vibrating at that frequency. Everybody in the room is vibrating at a higher frequency, and then our meeting is taking place at an elevated platform. So we do that at the beginning. Then we have a new speaker that promotes growth in the group, and it can be anything.
And now you're online too, right? So people can join through Zoom, and we'll post the link. We'll post the link in the feed when we're done talking. That
Yeah,
I think it's a group that people can join now.
yeah. So
How do you feel about leading us through that heart opening thing now? Would you be open to doing that right now?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely do that. There's like some ground rules that the Institute of HeartMath uses. When you are speaking to a certain size group, you have to like be really specific in what you do. So this is the quick coherence technique
Okay.
from the Institute of HeartMath. So if you could close your eyes, focus your attention in the area of your heart, and everybody at home, you can do this too. So you focus your attention in the area of your heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. Breathe a little slower and deeper than usual. Try to make your inhale and exhale balanced. Try a pace of 5 seconds on the inhale and 5 seconds on the exhale. Let's do this for a minute. And as we continue to breathe through our heart, 5 seconds on the inhale, 5 seconds on the exhale, we're going to make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling. So an elevated emotion, such as appreciation or care for someone or something in your life. So try to have, as you're breathing through your heart, try to experience the feeling you have when you think about someone or something that you love. It could be a person or a pet. As you continue breathing through your heart, think about a place where you feel calm or at ease. Maybe a place in nature or a relative's house. Just imagine yourself being in that place right now and experience that relaxed ease, calm feeling. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Yeah, so
That was great. It feels so much better. I mean, I was feeling good before, but I feel really good now. It's just, yeah, I felt like those, there was some like tension in my heart that I didn't know I had, like some stress or tension, just, I don't know, stiff tightness in there. And just, that's all gone now. I like feel really,
yeah, well,
yeah.
practice that. And the Heart Math is actually offering this thing called the Heart Math Experience, where it's free, but it's basically they're teaching people like 5 different techniques for breathing that will get you into this state. And it's just incredible. I think sooner enough, with the way the world is, everyone's gonna find their way back to the heart. I just really have a feeling.
I agree with you, and I think that's a lot of the opportunity that we're experiencing right now, and the change. The change that we're going through. It feels to me like we're coming up out of the lower chakras and we're coming up into the heart.
Yeah.
As a collective and as a group. And so that makes me really hopeful. And like, what can we accomplish when we all come together, like in a big tribe, and we come from our heart.
Yeah, and that's cool too. So like the other thing I learned from Joe Dispenza is that the law of attraction says you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. So when you start to be grateful, when our tribe started out like, just 15, 20 of us meeting in a room, but where we were all genuinely experiencing gratitude together, and we are attracting more people that are feeling grateful, and like this tribe is getting bigger and it's deep rooted. And now I'm surrounded by people in my life that I have incredible heart connections with. Like my friends today, it blows my mind, but because of this group, we now have a men's collective that are like, we're heart brothers. And there's like 10 of us that met last night. There was 8 of us, and we all just did like breathing. So we just hopped on Zoom and we did breath work together. And we're hoping that we can grow that collective. But basically, it's just like, I can't even put into words the feeling that I have for the people of this group, but they're all just like me. And we all love each other on a deep level. Like I truly love this group. And it's everyone's group. So like we have somebody that runs our Instagram, somebody that runs our Facebook, we now have a podcast. And it's true, we have somebody that runs that, like everything, because it's everyone's group. And whoever comes in, we just say, hey, what do you want to do? If you want to do it, do it. Like, let's just figure out how we can make you do it. And it's just like we're a big family of heart. And I think it's just going to keep beating. And hopefully more people that like want to feel that will come join us.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for being here with me and talking about this. And thank you for all the things that you do. And if you guys want to get in touch with Kyle, how do they get in touch with you? Do you have a website, or we can post it in the?
I'm actually starting a little side business. It's called heartfieldhealing.com. But I haven't really launched the website, but people can email me at kboyd1702@gmail.com, or just find me on Facebook. Kyle Boyd, you'll see me.
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to tell it's me. And then also find our group, Quantum Transcendence. I think that's more important for everybody.
And we'll post the links in the feed here so people can find it. Yeah, and that's a Facebook group, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I think we need to tribe up, and it's hard. A lot of people are isolated, at home, alone, or whatever. We're just feeling funky. So as we come into the heart and find these different tribes to belong to, we can really, I think, do incredible things. So
yeah,
thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. And I appreciate you so much, and I'm so happy that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Lisa. Take care.
Thanks, honey. Thanks.